all Christians. But now, right at the fountainhead of this whole idea of the journey as the basic sort of pattern of the spiritual life is one great figure who is the granddaddy of all these journeys. And who is that, Brother Bosco?
Christ.
Oh, way beyond him.
Bring him the Exodus.
Back of Exodus. Abraham. See, what did Abraham do? What did he do?
Well, God told him, go into the land that I will show you.
Yeah, go to the land that I will show you. See, he left the land of Ur of the Chaldees, and he went off to another land that God was going to show him. See, and so here's this idea. This is a fundamental. This is the beginning of the whole thing. This is the beginning of why we're here. If Abraham hadn't taken off from Ur, we probably wouldn't be here. You see, this is where it all started. The journey of Abraham, therefore, is very important. You see, because it's the type of all spiritual life. A command comes from God and says, "Leave where you are and go where I'll show you." Now, all spiritual life is like that. Our spiritual life is like that. And so, translated into our terms, where we don't move physically, what does it mean? Put it into some other terms. Not go from where you are to where you aren't, although you can say that too, but not in space. But what would be another way of putting that? Anybody?
Make a complete reform of your life.
Complete reform of your life, right? Change the whole form of your life. You go from what to what?
Well, from a worldly person to a...
Yeah. Sure, well, that's true, but that's basic. But what I'm getting at is mostly you go from what you know, from what's familiar. See, Abraham started out from home. See, his home, this is where he'd lived all his life. This is where his parents had lived, and his grandparents and ancestors had lived. And it was home. It was well known. It was familiar. See, it was what he was accustomed to. It was where he was secure. See, it's where everything was... he knew what it was going to be from day to day. Everything was fixed, see, where he was, to a great extent, in control, see. So our journey to God is like that, see. It's not by any means leaving the insecure and coming to the secure. It's the other way around. Although from a certain point of view, spiritually speaking, we are more secure. But what kind of security is it, see? It's a security that you don't see. See, our spiritual security, you can't measure your spiritual security. Now, of course, we do have a certain amount of material security. We're supposed to get those 2.5 meals a day or whatever, and we're supposed to have that. We're supposed to have a roof over our heads and so forth. We're not just complete migrants. But still, there is this element of a security which is not seen, see? So that is our life, going from what we know to what we don't know. So the idea is then it's a journey into the unknown, and we can't take journeys into the unknown. You don't by yourself. You just don't go off into the unknown. See, no man on his own initiative can just simply take off into the unknown. He's got to have some reason for going into the unknown. There must be something that he knows he's seeking, or something that's leading him there. You see, so we go off into the unknown. Why? Anybody?
To find God.
Yeah, and to find him because he's called us. See, it isn't just that God is a hidden object someplace, but God is a person who has called us to follow him into the unknown. See, well, now I think the thing to do then. That's one more point before I go to the scripture text. So, if a person leaves the land where everything is familiar, and he goes to the land where everything is unfamiliar, what happens? Well, he's a stranger. And he's in exile. And he's in a place where perhaps he doesn't even know the language. Just supposing it happened just by some providential action that God were to say, "You, China, now," see, and he picks you up and bang, you land up in the middle of Nanking, see. Well, I mean, how would you feel? You couldn't talk to anybody. You wouldn't know where you were. You wouldn't know how to get something to eat. You'd be God himself. You'd say, "Well, no, you brought me here. You got to get me dinner. See, now you got to help me to function. We've got to do this together." So that's the way it is in the spiritual life. We go into the midst of the unknown. We live on earth as strangers. Now, see, this is the key thing. It's the earth which is